The stars looked different from orbital station Harmony 7. Do-hyun stood near the massive observation window, watching ships arrive from every corner of the galaxy. 2 years ago, humanity had been alone in the universe. Now they were the newest members of something called the Galactic Concordance, and everyone wanted to see what these strange creatures from Earth were really like. "Stop looking so nervous," Ji-woo said, walking up beside him. She was the ambassador's chief of staff, which meant she handled all the things the ambassador didn't want to deal with. Right now, that included Do-hyun. "You're making our species look scared." "I'm not nervous," Do-hyun replied. "I'm cautious. There's a difference." "Yeah. Well, your cautiousness looks like fear to them." She gestured at the aliens moving through the station. There were hundreds of different species here, all with their own strange shapes and colors. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others floated or crawled or did things that hurt to watch. "The Viridians arrive in 20 minutes. Try to smile when you see them." Do-hyun didn't answer. The Viridians were the real reason everyone was here. They were the most powerful species in the galaxy, the ones who basically ran everything. When they said jump, other species asked how high. And today, their princess was coming to meet humanity for the first time. The station's speakers crackled to life. "Viridian diplomatic vessel approaching. All personnel to greeting stations." Do-hyun followed Ji-woo to the main docking bay. The human delegation was already there, all dressed in their best uniforms. Ambassador Sunho stood at the front looking calm and confident. Do-hyun took his position with the security team, checking his equipment one more time. He wasn't carrying weapons. Nobody was allowed weapons at the summit. But he had scanners and communication devices and about 1,000 emergency protocols memorized. The airlock doors opened with a hiss. The first Viridians through were guards, tall and graceful in their silver armor. Then came advisors and attendants, all moving with the kind of confidence that came from knowing you were better than everyone else. And then she appeared. Princess Nayla stepped into the docking bay and Do-hyun felt his breath catch in his throat. She was beautiful. Not just pretty or attractive, but beautiful in a way that made his brain stop working properly. Her skin had a faint golden glow, and her eyes were the color of deep space full of stars that seemed to actually twinkle. When she moved, it was like watching water flow, smooth and perfect and completely natural. She wore robes that probably cost more than Do-hyun's entire salary, and somehow she made them look simple. But it wasn't just how she looked. There was something else, something that pressed against Do-hyun's mind like a gentle hand. It made him want to step forward, to get closer, to hear what she had to say. It made him want to smile at her, to make her notice him, to earn her approval. Do-hyun took a step backward instead. He saw other humans reacting to her. Their faces went soft, their eyes wide. A couple of the younger diplomats were actually smiling like idiots. Even Ambassador Sunho looked more relaxed than usual, his professional mask slipping just a little. Princess Nayla's gaze swept across the assembled humans. When her eyes passed over Do-hyun, he looked at the floor, not because he was being rude, but because looking at her directly made that pressure in his head worse. It made him want to trust her, and Do-hyun had learned a long time ago not to trust feelings that came from nowhere. "Welcome to Harmony 7, Your Highness," Ambassador Sunho said, bowing slightly. "We are honored by your presence." "The honor is ours," Princess Nayla replied. Her voice was like music, each word perfectly placed. "Humanity is new to the stars, but already you have shown great promise. I look forward to knowing your people better." The formal greetings continued. Do-hyun stayed in his position, watching the crowd and the exits and everything except the princess. He was good at his job. He'd been in special forces before becoming a diplomatic security officer, and he knew how to focus on the mission instead of distractions, even when the distraction was the most beautiful being he'd ever seen. Even when every cell in his body was screaming at him to look at her again, the delegation moved to a reception hall. Do-hyun followed at a distance, coordinating with the Viridian security team. Their commander was a stern-faced man named Ravik, who seemed to find humans amusing. "Your people seem quite taken with Her Highness," he said, not bothering to hide his smile. "She's impressive," Do-hyun said neutrally. "That's one word for it." Ravik checked something on his datapad. "Most species find Viridians naturally trustworthy. It's biological. Our evolution made us this way. How are you handling it?" "I'm managing," Do-hyun said, which was true enough. Managing meant keeping his distance, not making eye contact, and fighting the constant urge to relax his guard. At the reception, Princess Nayla moved through the crowd like she owned it. She probably did in a way. Do-hyun watched from the edge of the room as she spoke with various ambassadors and delegates. Everyone wanted her attention. Everyone leaned in when she talked, laughed at her jokes, agreed with her observations. Do-hyun was making notes on his datapad when he felt someone watching him. He looked up and found Princess Nayla staring directly at him from across the room. For a moment their eyes met, and that pressure in his head spiked hard enough to make him dizzy. He looked away immediately, pretending to study his datapad. When he glanced up again, she was talking to someone else. But there was something different in her posture now, something that might have been confusion. The reception lasted 3 hours. Do-hyun spent all of them staying as far from Princess Nayla as possible while still doing his job. Twice she moved in his direction, and twice he found urgent security matters that required him to be somewhere else. It wasn't subtle, but it was necessary. Finally, the event ended. As the Viridian delegation prepared to leave for their quarters, Ji-woo pulled Do-hyun aside. "What are you doing?" she hissed. "My job. Your job doesn't include acting like the princess has a disease. She tried to talk to you 3 times. She talked to lots of people. Yes, and they all acted normal. You acted like you were afraid she'd bite you." Ji-woo crossed her arms. "This is a diplomatic event, Do-hyun. We can't afford to insult the most powerful species in the galaxy." "I'm not insulting anyone," Do-hyun said. "I'm being professional." Professional means engaging when engaged. It doesn't mean running away every time she looks at you. Do-hyun didn't have a good answer for that, so he just nodded. Ji-woo sighed and walked away, shaking her head. That night, Do-hyun lay in his quarters staring at the ceiling. He could still see Princess Nayla's face in his mind, could still feel that strange pull toward her. Part of him wanted to stop fighting it, to just relax and let himself feel whatever his brain wanted him to feel. But Do-hyun had read the briefings. He knew that Viridians affected other species in powerful ways. He knew that humans were particularly susceptible to charismatic leaders, to following people who seemed special or chosen or divine. Earth's history was full of wars and atrocities committed because people stopped thinking for themselves and just followed whoever made them feel good. So no matter how much it hurt, no matter how hard it was, Do-hyun would keep his distance. He would stay professional. He would not let himself become another mindless devotee, even if it meant Princess Nayla thought he hated her. His datapad beeped with a new message. Do-hyun opened it and felt his stomach sink. Officer Do-hyun has been assigned as personal liaison to Princess Nayla for the duration of the summit. Report for briefing at 600. He stared at the message for a long time. Then he closed his eyes and tried to sleep, knowing that tomorrow was going to be much, much harder than today. The briefing at 600 was short and painful. Ambassador Sunho explained that Princess Nayla had specifically requested Do-hyun as her liaison. It was an honor, he said. It showed trust in humanity. It absolutely could not be refused. Do-hyun stood at attention and accepted his orders. What else could he do? At 800, he reported to the Viridian quarters. The guards let him through after scanning his credentials, and he found Princess Nayla in a sitting room that overlooked the station's central hub. She was reading something on a holographic display, but she dismissed it when he entered. "Officer Do-hyun," she said, and her voice still did that thing where it made him want to listen forever. "Thank you for agreeing to assist me." "It's my duty, Your Highness." He kept his eyes focused on a point just past her left shoulder, close enough to be respectful, far enough that he didn't have to actually look at her face. "Is something wrong with my appearance?" she asked suddenly. "No, Your Highness." "Then why won't you look at me?" Do-hyun hesitated. "I'm scanning the room for security concerns." It was a weak excuse, and they both knew it. The room had already been swept twice by both human and Viridian security. But Princess Nayla didn't push the issue. She simply stood and gestured toward the door. "I have several meetings today. I'm told you know the schedule." "Yes, Your Highness." They walked through the station together, Do-hyun maintaining exactly 3 paces behind and to the left. Protocol said 2 paces, but he gave himself the extra distance. Every meter between them made it a little easier to think clearly. The first meeting was with the Thelonian Trade Federation. Do-hyun stood by the door while Princess Nayla discussed economic agreements and shipping routes. The Thelonians were small, blue-skinned creatures with too many fingers. and they kept staring at the princess like she was the answer to every prayer they'd ever had. The second meeting was with the Calresh Military Command. The Calresh were big, scaled, and aggressive, but even they seemed gentle around Princess Nayla. Their general actually blushed when she complimented his strategy reports. It went on like that all morning. Meeting after meeting, species after species, and all of them reacted the same way. They loved her. They trusted her. They would probably follow her into a star if she asked nicely. During a break, Do-hyun found Hyun in the security station. Hyun was another human officer, younger and less experienced, but good at his job. He was monitoring the feeds from various conference rooms, making sure everything stayed peaceful. "How's it going with the princess?" Hyun asked, not looking up from his screens. "Fine. You're lucky, man. I'd kill for an assignment like that." "She's amazing." Do-hyun glanced at him. "Amazing how?" "I don't know. Just amazing. Like when she talks, everything she says makes sense. And she's nice to everyone, even the species that are kind of rude to her. Plus Hyun made a vague gesture. "You know, I know what. Beautiful, perfect. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Being near her just feels right." Hyun finally looked at Do-hyun. "Don't you feel it?" "I feel something," Do-hyun said carefully. "Yeah, see? It's not just me. Some of the other guys were talking about it yesterday. The Viridians just have this thing about them. Makes you want to trust them. That doesn't bother you?" Hyun shrugged. "Why would it? They're trustworthy. That's the whole point." Do-hyun left the security station feeling worse than when he'd entered. If Hyun was already feeling this attached after just a day, what would happen after weeks, months? And why was Do-hyun the only one who seemed worried about it? The afternoon brought more meetings. Princess Nayla spoke with scientific delegations, cultural representatives, and military observers. Through it all, Do-hyun stood silently in the background, speaking only when spoken to and keeping his responses brief. After the sixth meeting, Princess Nayla stopped in a private corridor and turned to face him. "I need to ask you something." "Yes, Your Highness. Are all humans like you?" Do-hyun finally met her eyes just for a second. "Like me how?" So closed off, so determined to maintain distance. She took a step closer, and Do-hyun had to fight the urge to step back. "I've met dozens of your people in the past 2 days. They're warm and friendly and open, but you treat me like I'm dangerous." "I treat everyone with appropriate caution, Your Highness." "No, you don't." Her eyes, those impossible, star-filled eyes, studied him carefully. "I've watched you with others. You smile at them. You joke with your fellow officers. But with me, you're like ice. Why?" "I'm simply being professional." "You're being afraid," she said softly. "The question is, afraid of what?" "I've done nothing to threaten you. I've been nothing but courteous. Yet you flinch every time I come near you." "I don't flinch. You stepped backward when I moved closer just now." She was right, of course. Do-hyun had stepped back automatically without thinking. He tried to find words that would explain without explaining, that would answer her question without revealing too much. Before he could speak, his communicator buzzed. "Security alert, level 3. Possible unauthorized access in Section 7. Do-hyun was already moving, his hand on Princess Nayla's arm to guide her toward the nearest secure room. She came without protest, understanding that when security spoke, you listened. They reached a reinforced chamber, and Do-hyun positioned himself between her and the door, his hand hovering near his emergency beacon. The alert lasted less than 2 minutes. It turned out to be a maintenance worker who'd forgotten to log his access code. False alarm, no actual danger. But for those 2 minutes, Do-hyun had been completely focused, completely in control, completely professional. And his hands had been shaking the entire time. Princess Nayla noticed. Of course she noticed. When the all-clear came through and they exited the secure room, she looked at him with something new in her expression. Not confusion anymore, something closer to understanding. "You're not afraid of me," she said quietly. "You're afraid for me." Do-hyun didn't answer. He didn't trust his voice. That evening he found himself in the station's observation deck, staring out at the stars and trying to settle his mind. He'd maintained his composure all day, had kept his distance and done his duty. But it was getting harder. The more time he spent near Princess Nayla, the more he wanted to spend time near her. It was a cycle that fed itself, and Do-hyun could feel his control starting to crack. "I thought I might find you here." He turned to see Mina approaching. She was a xenopsychology specialist, one of the scientists studying how humans interacted with other species. They'd worked together during training and he trusted her judgment. "Shouldn't you be at the diplomatic reception?" he asked. "Shouldn't you?" She joined him at the window. "I heard you got assigned to Princess Nayla. That must be interesting." "It's a job. It's more than a job, and we both know it." Mina pulled up a data pad and showed him a chart full of numbers. "I've been monitoring human responses to Viridian presence. Brain scans, hormone levels, psychological evaluations. Want to know what I found? Do I have a choice? We're being affected, Do-hyun. Not just influenced or impressed. Actually affected at a biological level. When humans are near Viridians, especially powerful ones like the princess, our brains release chemicals that promote trust and bonding. It's similar to what happens when we meet someone we're attracted to, except stronger. How much stronger? A lot stronger. And it doesn't fade with exposure. If anything, it gets worse the more time you spend with them." She put away the data pad. "Most species don't notice it because they evolved alongside the Viridians or in similar environments. But humans? We're from Earth, a death world. We evolved to be suspicious, to question, to maintain our independence. So when our brains tell us to trust someone completely, it creates a conflict. Can it be resisted? You tell me. You're doing it right now, aren't you? Fighting the urge to relax around her." Do-hyun nodded slowly. "That's why you were chosen," Mina said. "The ambassador knows your history. Special forces, covert operations, psychological resistance training. You're one of the few humans who can maintain distance from someone like Princess Nayla. But Do-hyun," she put a hand on his arm, "it's not sustainable. You can't fight your own biology forever. I can fight it long enough." "Long enough for what?" "Long enough to do my job without becoming another devoted follower." Mina looked sad. "Is that really what you think will happen?" "I know what happens when humans give themselves completely to charismatic leaders. I've read the history books. I've seen what we're capable of when we stop thinking for ourselves." He turned back to the stars. "I won't let that happen to me. Not for anyone, no matter how perfect they seem." Mina left him alone with his thoughts. Do-hyun stood there for another hour, watching ships come and go and preparing himself for another day of fighting the thing his brain most wanted him to do: surrender. Day 5 of the summit brought a new complication. Prince Kiros arrived with his own delegation, and within an hour, everyone knew he was nothing like his sister. Where Princess Nayla was gracious and warm, Prince Kiros was cold and dismissive. He looked at other species the way someone might look at insects, with curiosity but no real respect. And he seemed to particularly dislike humans. "So these are the primitives everyone's been talking about," he said during the first joint meeting. He was speaking to his sister, but his voice carried across the entire conference room. They barely discovered faster than light travel and were treating them like equals. Ambassador Sunho kept his expression neutral, but Do-hyun saw the tightness around his eyes. Princess Nayla, standing near her brother, looked embarrassed. "Kiros, please. We're here to build bridges, not burn them." "Bridges require both sides to be on the same level," Kiros replied. He looked directly at Do-hyun. "Tell me, human, how long has your species had spaceflight?" 200 years, Your Highness," Do-hyun answered. His voice was steady, professional. He'd dealt with worse than this. 200 years. "We had interstellar travel 5,000 years ago. We had conquered death itself before your species invented the wheel." Kairos smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "And yet here you stand, acting as my sister's guard. As if you could protect her from anything." "Kairos, that's enough," Princess Nayla said sharply. "Is it? I'm simply stating facts." The prince walked closer to Do-hyun, and unlike his sister, there was nothing appealing about his presence. He just felt heavy, oppressive. "Your people are children playing with tools you don't understand. Emotional children at that. I've read the reports. You actually require psychological training just to resist basic social influence. How weak is that?" Do-hyun said nothing. Anything he said would only make things worse. But Hyun, standing across the room, spoke up. "We're not weak. We're careful." "There's a difference," Kairos laughed. "Careful? No, you're unstable. Your entire history is violence and chaos. War after war, genocide after genocide. You nearly destroyed your own planet twice before you even reached the stars." He turned back to Do-hyun. "And now we're supposed to trust you? Supposed to believe you've evolved beyond your savage nature?" "We don't ask you to believe anything," Ambassador Sunho said calmly. "We ask only that you judge us by our actions, not our history." History is all we have to judge by. And yours is written in blood. The meeting ended badly. Princess Nayla apologized to the human delegation afterward, but the damage was done. Kairos had said what many species were probably thinking. Humans were violent. Humans were dangerous. Humans were barely civilized enough to be here. That evening, there was a cultural exchange event. Each species presented something from their civilization: art, music, stories, whatever they thought best represented them. Dohyun stood in the back while Eunji, one of the human attachés, gave a presentation on Earth's history. She didn't hide anything. She showed the wars, the disasters, the near-extinction events. She explained how humans had evolved on a planet that was constantly trying to kill them, where the weather could turn deadly in minutes, and where predators hunted in the dark. She talked about how humans had survived not by being the strongest or fastest, but by being the most adaptable and the most stubborn. We learned early that giving up meant death, Eunji said. So we became a species that doesn't know how to quit. That can't quit even when maybe we should. Some call it stubbornness. We call it survival. Dohyun watched Princess Nayla during the presentation. She was sitting in the front row and her expression changed as Eunji spoke. Confusion became understanding. Understanding became something that looked like respect. After the presentation, there was a reception. Species mixed and talked, sharing their own stories and listening to others. Dohyun did his job, staying close to Princess Nayla but not too close, watching for threats and maintaining his careful distance until she cornered him near the refreshment table. "Walk with me," she said. It wasn't a request. They walked through the quieter corridors of the station, away from the noise and crowds. Princess Nayla was silent for a long time, just moving through the halls with that impossible grace. Finally, she stopped near a window. "I looked up Earth," she said. "After Yunji's presentation, I wanted to know more. Do you know what the Galactic database lists it as?" "A Class 9 death world," Dohyun replied. He'd read his own planet's classification. "Yes, the same class as worlds where we send our military for survival training. Worlds so hostile that most species can't survive there without significant technological support." She turned to look at him. "You grew up there. You evolved there. No wonder you're so what? So controlled. So careful, so used to being afraid." She stepped closer, and this time Dohyun didn't step back. "I've been thinking about what you said, about being professional. But that's not really it, is it?" "Your Highness, my name is Nayla, and I want the truth." Her voice was soft but firm. "Why do you avoid me? And please don't say it's protocol or professionalism or any other diplomatic answer. I want to know what you're really thinking." Dohyun felt something crack inside his chest. He'd been holding it together for days, fighting himself every moment, and he was so tired of it. "You want the truth?" "Yes. The truth is that everything about you terrifies me." She blinked, surprised. "I terrify you?" "Yes. Not because you're cruel or violent or dangerous in the way my brain understands danger. You terrify me because you're perfect." He finally let himself look at her directly. Really look at her, and it hurt in a way he couldn't describe. "You're so perfect that my entire brain wants to shut down and just trust you. Follow you. Believe everything you say and do everything you ask. And that's bad. It's bad when I know it's not real. When I know it's just biology and chemicals and evolutionary manipulation. When I know that if I give in, I'll stop being me and start being just another devoted follower." Princess Nayla was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Is that what you think the others are? Devoted followers? Aren't they? Some might be. But most species don't experience us the way you do. For them, our presence is calming, trustworthy, like meeting someone who's genuinely good. They don't lose themselves." She studied his face. "But humans do. Humans can. We have a history of following charismatic leaders into darkness, of surrendering our judgment to people who seemed special or chosen or divine. We've committed atrocities in the name of people we trusted completely." Dohyun's hands clenched into fists. "I won't be that. I won't let myself become so devoted to someone that I stop thinking, stop questioning, stop being human. Even if that person is worthy of devotion? How would I know? How could I ever know? When my own brain is lying to me about what I feel." The princess looked away out at the stars. "I never thought about it like that. For most species, our influence is just part of who we are, like having a pleasant voice or a friendly smile. But for you, for us, it's a weapon we can't defend against. They stood in silence for a while. Do-hyun felt exposed, like he'd revealed too much. But there was also relief in finally saying it out loud, in having someone understand why he had to maintain his distance. "I'm sorry," Princess Nayla finally said. "For what?" "For making you feel this way. For being something you have to fight against." She smiled, but it was sad. "You asked how you could know if someone was worthy of devotion when your brain was lying to you. I'll tell you something I've never told anyone. I have the same problem in reverse." "What do you mean?" "I'm a Viridian princess. I've been royalty my entire life, which is over 300 years, and in all that time I've never known if anyone actually liked me or if they just couldn't help themselves." She touched the window, her fingers leaving faint marks on the glass. "Everyone I meet becomes devoted to me. They agree with everything I say, laugh at my jokes, defend my opinions. But is any of it real? Do they actually care about me? Or are they just responding to what I am?" Do-hyun hadn't considered that. He'd been so focused on fighting his own reaction to her that he'd never thought about what it might be like from her side. "You're the first person who's ever resisted me," she continued. "The first person who's looked at me and chosen to stay separate, to maintain their own thoughts and feelings. Do you know how rare that is? How valuable? I'm not trying to be valuable. I'm just trying to survive. Maybe that's the same thing." She turned back to him. "I won't ask you to stop fighting your instincts. I wouldn't want you to, but I want you to know that I understand now, and I appreciate it. Your resistance, your honesty, even your fear." Before Do-hyun could respond, his communicator buzzed. Multiple alerts at once, which meant something serious was happening. He checked the display and felt his blood go cold. Security breach. Multiple intruders on Deck 7. All personnel to defensive positions. Princess Nayla heard it too. "What's happening?" "I don't know, but we need to get you somewhere safe now." They ran. The security breach turned out to be a false alarm. Some diplomatic team had triggered sensors in a restricted area because they'd gotten lost. But the incident left everyone on edge, and security protocols were tightened across the entire station. Do-hyun escorted Princess Nayla back to her quarters, checking every corridor and doorway twice. She followed his instructions without question, and he noticed that she seemed to trust his judgment about safety, even if she questioned his reasons for avoiding her. "You're good at this," she said as they reached her rooms. "At what?" "Protecting people. Reading danger. Staying calm when others panic." She paused at her door. "Maybe that's why they chose you for this assignment. Not despite your resistance to me, but because of it." Do-hyun hadn't thought of it that way. "Maybe. I'll see you tomorrow, Officer Do-hyun. Your Highness." He bowed slightly and left. But later that night he received a message on his private communicator. Just 2 words, "Please come." It was from Princess Nayla, and it was sent directly to him, not through official channels. Do-hyun stared at the message for a long time. He should report it. He should ignore it. He should definitely not go to her private quarters alone in the middle of the night. He went anyway. The Viridian guards let him through after checking with the princess. She was waiting in a small sitting room, still dressed but looking tired in a way he'd never seen before. The golden glow of her skin seemed dimmer somehow. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I know it's inappropriate, but I needed to talk to someone, and you're the only person on this station who won't just tell me what they think I want to hear." Do-hyun stood near the door, maintaining his distance. "What did you want to talk about?" "The truth. Real truth, not diplomatic truth." She gestured to a chair. "Please sit." "I won't bite." He sat, but on the edge of the chair, ready to move if necessary. Princess Nayla settled across from him, and for a moment she just looked at him with those impossible eyes. "I'm going to invoke diplomatic privilege," she said. "Do you know what that means?" "It means anything said in this room stays in this room. More than that, it means I can order you to answer my questions honestly, and you're bound by law to comply. Not just human law, galactic law." She leaned forward. "I don't want to use that power. I'd rather you answered freely. But I need to understand what's happening between us, and you keep hiding behind professionalism." Do-hyun felt trapped. Not physically, but mentally. He'd been fighting this conversation for days, and now it was here and there was no escape. "I'll answer your questions," he said finally, "but I want something in return." "What?" "Answer mine honestly, too. No diplomatic deflection. No royal privilege. Just truth." She smiled slightly. "Agreed, I'll start. Why do you avoid me? And I want the real answer this time, not the defensive one you gave before. Do-hyun took a breath. He'd already told her some of this, but not all of it. Not the part that really mattered. I avoid you because I can't afford not to. Every moment I spend near you, my brain is screaming at me to trust you completely, to believe everything you say, to want your approval more than anything else, and that terrifies me because I know it's not real. What if it is real? How could it be? We've known each other for less than a week. You can't genuinely care about someone you just met. Not this intensely. It's artificial. Chemical. Your species evolved to make other species trust you, and my species evolved to be suspicious of exactly that kind of manipulation. Princess Nayla nodded slowly. That's fair. My turn to answer. Yes, Viridians naturally influence other species. It's part of who we are, but it's not mind control. It's more like... She searched for words. Like meeting someone attractive. You feel drawn to them, but you still make your own choices. You can still walk away. Except I don't want to walk away. That's the problem. Why is that a problem? Because wanting something doesn't mean it's good for you. Do-hyun met her eyes, forcing himself to hold her gaze. You asked me earlier if I found you repulsive. The opposite is true. I find you so attractive that it breaks my judgment. When I look at you, I want to agree with everything you say. I want to make you happy. I want to be near you all the time. And I know that if I give in to that feeling, I'll lose myself. You keep saying that. Losing yourself. What does that mean? It means becoming someone who doesn't think independently anymore. Someone who exists only to serve and please you. I've seen it happen. Not with aliens, but with humans and other humans. Charismatic leaders who made people feel special, feel chosen, feel like they were part of something bigger than themselves. And those people stopped questioning, stopped thinking. They did terrible things because someone they trusted told them it was right. Princess Nayla was quiet for a moment. You think I would make you do terrible things? I think you could make me do anything, and I would thank you for the opportunity. That's what scares me. It's not that you're evil, but that I wouldn't be able to tell if you were. So you maintain distance to maintain judgment. Yes. Even though it's painful. Do-hyun hesitated, then nodded. Even though it's painful. The princess stood and walked to the window. She was silent for so long that Do-hyun thought maybe the conversation was over. Then she spoke, her voice soft and sad. I told you earlier that I've never known if anyone's devotion to me was real. Do you want to know why that matters so much? If you want to tell me. When I was young, maybe 50 years old by your reckoning, I fell in love. His name was Theris, and he was a Viridian noble. Beautiful, intelligent, everything I thought I wanted. We were together for 20 years. I thought he loved me for me, not for my title or my influence. I thought we had something real. She touched the window glass. Then I discovered he'd been manipulating galactic markets, using his connection to me to gain advance information about royal decisions. When I confronted him, he admitted everything. He said he'd never loved me at all. He'd just been using me. And the worst part? He didn't even seem guilty. He said it was my own fault for being so easy to manipulate, for being so desperate to believe someone cared about me. That's horrible, Do-hyun said. It taught me something, though. It taught me that devotion without choice is worthless. All these species that flock to me, that agree with everything I say, that would die for me if I asked, none of it means anything because they can't help themselves. They're responding to what I am, not who I am. She turned to face him. But you're different. You fight your instincts. You maintain your independence. You look at me and choose to stay separate, and that means if you ever did choose to trust me, if you ever did decide to let yourself care about me, it would be real. It would be your choice, not your biology. Do-hyun felt something shift in his chest. You want me to choose to trust you? I want to know that someone can. Just once, I want to know that someone saw past what I am and decided I was worth caring about anyway. She smiled sadly. But I won't ask you to. I understand why you can't, why you shouldn't. I just wanted you to know that your resistance isn't insulting to me. It's the most respectful thing anyone's ever done. They sat in silence for a while. Do-hyun felt like he was seeing her for the first time. Not as the perfect princess his brain wanted her to be, but as a person. A lonely person who'd been hurt and was trying to protect herself just like he was protecting himself. Can I ask you something? He said finally. Of course. If you could turn it off, your influence, your effect on other species, would you? Princess Nayla thought about it. Yes and no. It's part of who I am, part of my species. Asking me to turn it off is like asking you to stop being human. But if I could make people see me clearly, without the filter of attraction and trust, yes, I would do that in an instant. Even if it meant people didn't like you, especially then. At least I'd know it was real. Do-hyun understood that. He stood up knowing he should leave but not wanting to. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for listening. And Do-hyun? She used his first name and it sent a shiver through him. I don't want you to stop fighting your instincts. I don't want you to surrender to what you feel. But maybe we can find a middle ground, where you can be honest with me without losing yourself. I'd like that, he admitted. Good, now go get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Prince Kiros is hosting a demonstration of Viridian military technology, and I need you alert. Do-hyun left her quarters feeling strange, lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted. They'd been honest with each other, really honest, and it hadn't destroyed anything. If anything, it had made things clearer. As he walked back to his own quarters, he realized something. For the first time since meeting Princess Nayla, he wasn't fighting the urge to go back to her. He was making a choice to leave, to give them both space because it was the right thing to do. Not because his instincts demanded it, but because he chose it. It was a small victory, but it felt huge. The next morning felt different. Do-hyun reported to Princess Nayla's quarters at the usual time, but when she greeted him, something had changed. She didn't try to charm him or draw him closer. She just nodded and said, "Ready?" "Ready, Your Highness." They fell into step beside each other, not with him trailing behind like before, but walking together. It was a small change, but it mattered. They were acting less like princess and guard and more like colleagues. Maybe even friends, though Do-hyun wasn't ready to use that word yet. Prince Kiros's military demonstration was held in one of the station's large cargo bays. He'd brought examples of Viridian weapons technology, and he was eager to show off how advanced his people were compared to everyone else. This is a standard pulse rifle, he explained, holding up a sleek silver weapon. Effective range of 2 kilometers, can pierce any known armor and requires no physical ammunition. Pure energy conversion. The assembled diplomats made impressed noises. Do-hyun watched carefully, noting the weapon's design and capabilities. It was impressive, but not impossible. Humans had energy weapons too, just not as refined. And this, Kiros continued, pulling out something that looked like a small sphere, is a gravitational disruptor. It can collapse a building or crush a vehicle from 50 meters away. We've had this technology for over 1,000 years. More impressed noises. Do-hyun glanced at Princess Nayla and saw that she looked uncomfortable. She caught his eye and gave a tiny shrug as if to say, "This is just how he is." After the demonstration, there was supposed to be a reception, but before anyone could leave, Tae-jin, the young human officer who'd been working security, suddenly stepped forward. "May I volunteer to test the equipment, Your Highness?" he asked Prince Kiros. His voice was eager, almost desperate. Kiros looked amused. "Why would you want to do that?" "To prove that humans can handle advanced technology. To show we're not as primitive as you think." Tae-jin was sweating, his hands shaking slightly. "Please, I want to help." Do-hyun moved closer, concerned. Something was wrong. Tae-jin had been fine yesterday, but now he looked like he hadn't slept. His eyes were too bright, too focused. "Tae-jin," Do-hyun said quietly, "stand down." "No, I want to do this. I want to prove we're worthy." Tae-jin turned to Princess Nayla. "Please, Your Highness, let me show you what humans can do." Princess Nayla looked worried. "Officer Tae-jin, that's not necessary." "But it is. I need to make you proud. I need to show you that we're good enough to be here, to be near you." His voice was getting louder, more emotional. "Please, just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it, anything." Do-hyun grabbed Tae-jin's arm and pulled him aside. "Medical now. Let go of me." "I'm fine." "You're not fine." Do-hyun looked at Hyun, who was standing nearby. "Get Dr. Young-soo, tell him it's urgent." Hyun ran off while Do-hyun kept hold of Tae-jin, who was now crying and begging to be allowed to help the princess. It was painful to watch. The other diplomats were staring, and Do-hyun could see what they were thinking. Look at the unstable humans. Look at how emotional and weak they are. Dr. Young-soo arrived within minutes. He took one look at Tae-jin and immediately called for a medical team. How long has he been like this? I don't know. He seemed fine yesterday. Get him to medical. I need to run tests. Youngsu looked at Princess Nayla, who had approached. Your Highness, I'm going to need to examine all the humans who've been in close proximity to Viridians for extended periods. Of course. Whatever you need. They took Taejin away, still crying and calling for the princess. The reception was cancelled. Everyone dispersed, leaving Do-hyun standing with Princess Nayla in the now empty cargo bay. What just happened? She asked. I think Taejin developed some kind of dependency. On Viridians. On you specifically. Do-hyun felt sick. He'd warned people this might happen, but seeing it was worse than imagining it. But we have safety protocols, rotation schedules. No human should be exposed to us for long enough to develop that kind of reaction. Maybe the protocols aren't enough. Maybe we're more susceptible than anyone realized. Dr. Youngsu called an emergency meeting that afternoon. All the human delegates gathered in a secure room, along with several Viridian representatives, including Princess Nayla and High Counselor Threnix, an elder statesman who'd been advising the Viridian delegation. I've completed my examination of Officer Taejin and run comparative scans on the rest of our people, Youngsu began. He looked tired and worried. The results are concerning. Humans are experiencing measurable psychological changes from exposure to Viridians. Increased oxytocin, elevated serotonin, heightened activity in the brain regions associated with trust and bonding. That doesn't sound immediately dangerous, Ambassador Sunho said. It's not, in small doses. But with prolonged or repeated exposure, the effects accumulate. Taejin has been working near Viridians for 8 days straight. His brain chemistry has shifted to the point where being away from them causes anxiety and depression. He's becoming psychologically dependent. The room fell silent. Finally, High Counselor Threnix spoke. We've never encountered this problem before. Other species find us pleasant to be around, but they don't form dependencies. Other species didn't evolve on death worlds, Youngsu replied. Human brains are wired differently. We evolved in an environment where forming strong social bonds quickly was necessary for survival. When Viridians trigger those bonding responses, our brains don't know the difference between genuine connection and artificial stimulus. We just bond, and we bond hard. So what do? Jiwoo asked. We implement stricter rotation protocols. No human should be exposed to Viridians for more than 4 hours in any 24-hour period. We need cool-down time for our brain chemistry to reset. Youngsu looked at Do-hyun. You're the exception. You've been with Princess Nayla almost constantly, but your scans show minimal changes. Whatever you're doing to resist, it's working. But even you should probably take breaks. Do-hyun felt Princess Nayla looking at him. He didn't meet her eyes, but he knew what she was thinking. He'd been right to maintain distance, to fight his instincts. If he'd let himself relax around her, he might have ended up like Taejin. The meeting continued for another hour, discussing protocols and safety measures. When it finally ended, Princess Nayla asked Do-hyun to walk with her. They went to the observation deck, the place where they'd first really talked. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For what? For what my presence does to your people. I never meant to hurt anyone. You didn't hurt anyone. It's just biology. Do-hyun leaned against the window, watching stars drift past. But it proves my point, doesn't it? About the danger of surrendering to what we feel. Yes, it does. She stood beside him, maintaining a careful distance. You were protecting yourself all along, and I thought you were being difficult. I was being difficult. Just for good reasons. They stood in silence for a while. Then Princess Nayla spoke again, her voice soft and sad. I've been thinking about something you said last night. About not knowing if you could trust someone when your brain was lying to you. I understand that better now. Because I've been thinking that maybe we could be friends, but how would you ever know if that friendship was real or just your brain chemistry forcing you to like me? I don't know, Do-hyun admitted. But maybe it doesn't have to be one or the other. Maybe it's both. What do you mean? You said your influence is like meeting someone attractive. You feel drawn to them, but you still choose whether to act on it. Maybe I'm drawn to you partly because of biology, but I can still choose how to handle that. And maybe my choice to maintain distance, to fight the easy devotion, makes any friendship we do develop more real. Princess Nayla considered this. So you're saying that by resisting, you're making space for something genuine? Maybe, I don't know. This is all new territory. For both of us. She smiled slightly. You know, before I met you, I thought resistance to my presence meant dislike. But you've taught me something. Sometimes the people who resist us the most are the ones who respect us the most. Because they see us clearly enough to be afraid. I'm not afraid of you anymore, Do-hyun said. Then he corrected himself. That's not true. I'm still afraid, but I'm less afraid than I was. That's progress. Yeah, small steps. A message came through on both their communicators. Prince Kairos was requesting his sister's presence immediately. Something about a formal diplomatic complaint. Princess Nayla sighed. I should go deal with whatever crisis my brother has created now. I'll come with you. You don't have to. Your rotation time is almost up, I know. But I'm choosing to come anyway. She looked at him for a moment and something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Or respect. Or the beginning of something that might eventually become friendship, if they were both careful and honest and willing to keep working at it. They walked together to face whatever came next. The crisis turned out to be bigger than anyone expected. Prince Kairos had received threats from a group calling themselves the Purity Front. They were extremists who believed that humans were too dangerous to join galactic society, too violent and unstable to be trusted with advanced technology. They're saying we should be quarantined on Earth until we prove we're civilized, Ambassador Sunho explained to the gathered delegates, and they're threatening action if the summit continues. What kind of action? Princess Nayla asked. They didn't specify, but we have to take all threats seriously. Security was increased across the station. Do-hyun found himself working longer shifts, coordinating with Viridian guards and other species security forces. The atmosphere on Harmony 7 changed from diplomatic and friendly to tense and watchful. It was on the third day, after the threats that everything went wrong, Do-hyun was escorting Princess Nayla to a meeting when the explosion started. Not close, but close enough. The station shuddered, alarms screamed, and emergency bulkheads began slamming shut. This way. Do-hyun grabbed Princess Nayla's arm and pulled her toward the nearest safe room. But before they could reach it, another explosion rocked the corridor. The bulkhead ahead collapsed, blocking their path. Behind us! Princess Nayla shouted. They ran the other way, but more explosions cut off that route too. Do-hyun pulled up a map on his communicator. There's a maintenance passage 2 corridors over. If we can reach it, we can get to the central hub. They ran through the shaking station. Smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Other people were running too, all trying to reach safety. Do-hyun kept Princess Nayla close, his training taking over. Assess the situation, identify escape routes, protect the asset, stay calm. Except his heart was pounding so hard he could barely think. They reached the maintenance passage and climbed inside. It was narrow and dark, lit only by emergency lights. Do-hyun went first, checking ahead while Princess Nayla followed. The passage twisted and turned, occasionally shuddering from distant impacts. Who's doing this? Princess Nayla asked. The Purity Front, probably. They want to prove humans are dangerous by triggering our violent instincts. Do-hyun checked his communicator. No signal this deep in the station. They were alone. They emerged in a secondary corridor far from the main areas. It was quiet here, almost too quiet. Do-hyun's instincts screamed warning. We need to keep moving, he said. They made it another 10 meters before figures emerged from the shadows. 5 of them, different species, all armed with weapons they weren't supposed to have on a diplomatic station. Princess Nayla, one of them said. He was tall and scaled, a Draxian. You're coming with us. I'm not going anywhere with terrorists, she replied, her voice steady despite the fear Do-hyun could feel radiating from her. Then we'll drag you. We need a hostage and you're perfect. The mighty Viridians will do anything to get their princess back. Do-hyun stepped in front of her. You'll have to go through me. The Draxian laughed. You're one human. We're 5 trained soldiers. Move aside or we'll move you. No. They advanced. Do-hyun had no weapons, no backup, no advantages except his training and the fact that he absolutely would not let them take Princess Nayla. Not while he was breathing. The first attacker lunged at him. Do-hyun sidestepped, grabbed the attacker's arm, and used his momentum to slam him into the wall. The second came from the left. Do-hyun blocked, struck, moved. His training took over completely, his body acting on pure instinct. But there were too many. He took down 2 more, but the 4th caught him with a blast from an energy weapon. Pain exploded through his side and he fell. Do-hyun! Princess Nayla screamed. He tried to get up, but his body wouldn't cooperate. The Draxian leader advanced on the princess, smiling. Now, Your Highness, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Stay back, she warned, but her voice shook. Do-hyun's vision was blurring, but he could still see. Still think. He looked at the corridor, at the positioning of the attackers, at the environmental controls on the wall. A plan formed, desperate and probably suicidal, but it was all he had. He pulled himself to his knees, ignoring the pain. "Nayla," he gasped. "When I say go, close your eyes and hold your breath." "What?" "Trust me." She looked at him, and for once there was no conflict in his mind about whether that trust was earned or forced. It just was. He needed her to trust him, and she did. Do-hyun lunged for the environmental controls, smashing the emergency release. The corridor's atmosphere vented partially, not enough to be deadly, but enough to create a violent wind. The attackers stumbled, confused. Do-hyun used those crucial seconds to override the lighting system, plunging the corridor into darkness. Then he moved. In the dark, with limited air, Do-hyun had the advantage. He'd trained for this. Humans were persistent predators, evolved to hunt in the worst conditions, to never give up even when exhausted and hurt. He used every bit of that evolutionary advantage now. He took them down one by one, silent, efficient, brutal when necessary. His side screamed with pain, but he ignored it. The mission was all that mattered. Protect the princess. Eliminate the threats. Stay alive. When the emergency lights finally came back on, all 5 attackers were unconscious or incapacitated. Do-hyun stood over them, breathing hard, blood dripping from multiple wounds. Princess Nayla was safe, pressed against the wall where he'd told her to stay. "Are you all right?" he asked. She just stared at him. "You're hurt." "I'm fine." He wasn't fine. He could feel himself weakening, going into shock. "We need to keep moving. There might be more." He took 2 steps and collapsed. Princess Nayla caught him, surprisingly strong for someone so graceful. "No, we're staying here. I'm calling for help. Your communicator won't work in this section. Then I'll go get help." "No." Do-hyun grabbed her arm. "Too dangerous. Stay with me. Help will find us eventually." She looked torn between arguing and agreeing. Finally, she nodded and helped him sit against the wall. She checked his wounds, her hands surprisingly steady. "You're bleeding a lot." "I know." "Why did you do that?" "You could have died. That's my job." "No, it's not. Your job is to coordinate security, not fight 5 armed terrorists alone." Her voice broke slightly. "You could have just let me go. They wanted me, not you. You could have been safe." Do-hyun looked at her, really looked at her, and for once his brain wasn't screaming warnings or fighting instincts. It was just quiet, accepting. "I couldn't let them take you." "Why not?" "Because," he tried to find words, "because somewhere in the past week, I stopped seeing you as just a duty or a threat or a princess I had to resist. I started seeing you as someone I chose to protect. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to." Princess Nayla was crying now, tears running down her perfect face. "You're such an idiot." "Yeah, a brave, stubborn, impossible idiot. That's pretty accurate." They sat in silence for a while. Do-hyun's vision was getting blurry again, and he could feel himself drifting. Princess Nayla held his hand, and for once he didn't pull away. "Stay awake," she ordered. "That's a royal command. You have to obey royal commands. That's not how it works," he mumbled. "It is now. Stay awake, Do-hyun, please." He tried. He really did. But the darkness was so inviting, and he was so tired. His last thought before passing out was that at least she was safe. He'd done his job. He'd made his choice, and it had been the right one. When he woke up, he was in medical bay. The ceiling was white, and machines beeped softly around him. He tried to sit up, but pain stopped him. "Don't move," a familiar voice said. Princess Nayla was sitting beside his bed, looking tired and worried. "You've been unconscious for 6 hours. Did they catch the others?" "Yes, the station is secure. The Purity Front has been dismantled. Everyone is safe." She squeezed his hand. "Thanks to you." "Just doing my job." "Stop saying that." Her voice was fierce. "What you did wasn't just a job. It was heroism. You saved my life knowing you might lose yours. That's not duty, Do-hyun. That's devotion." "Devotion without mind control," he said softly. "Yes, devotion by choice." She smiled through tears. "The best kind." Do-hyun closed his eyes, feeling something settle in his chest. Peace, maybe, or acceptance, or just the knowledge that he'd found someone he could trust without losing himself, and that was worth all the fighting and fear and pain. "Get some rest," Princess Nayla said. "I'm not going anywhere." "You should. You have summit duties. The summit can wait. Right now my duty is here, with my friend. The word felt right. Do-hyun smiled and let himself drift back to sleep, finally at peace. Do-hyun spent 3 days in medical bay. Princess Nayla visited every day, bringing him reports about the summit and updates about the investigation. The Purity Front had been larger than anyone realized, with members from dozens of species. But the attack on Harmony 7 had backfired. Instead of proving humans were dangerous, it had shown everyone how far humans would go to protect others. "You're famous now," Princess Nayla told him on the second day. "The story of the human security officer who single-handedly fought off 5 trained terrorists is spreading through the entire galaxy." "Great," Do-hyun said without enthusiasm. "Just what I wanted. Don't be modest. You should be proud. You showed everyone what humans are capable of. I showed them we're good at violence. No. You showed them you're good at control. You could have killed those terrorists. You had every right to. But you didn't. You incapacitated them and held your position until help arrived. That's not the action of a violent primitive. That's the action of a disciplined warrior." Do-hyun hadn't thought of it that way. He'd just been doing what needed to be done. But maybe she was right. Maybe the fact that he'd chosen restraint even in the middle of a fight said something about humanity. On the 4th day, he was cleared to leave medical bay. Ambassador Sunho requested to see him immediately. Do-hyun reported to the ambassador's office, expecting a debriefing or maybe a commendation. What he got was much more surprising. "The Galactic Council is reconvening today for an emergency session," Sunho explained.
"The attack has changed everything.
Species that were skeptical of humanity are now reconsidering, and the Viridians have made a formal proposal." "What kind of proposal?" "A partnership program. Humans and Viridians working together on diplomatic missions, security operations, even scientific research. They want to accelerate our integration into galactic society." "That's good, right? It's unprecedented. Usually, new species spend decades proving themselves before being trusted with that kind of responsibility. But Princess Nayla has been advocating for us personally. She told the Council that humans possess qualities other species lack: discipline, resilience, the ability to make hard choices under pressure. She says we're exactly what the galaxy needs right now." Do-hyun felt something warm in his chest. Princess Nayla was fighting for humanity, using her influence to help them, and she was doing it not because he'd surrendered to her, but because he'd shown her what humans really were. "There's more," Sunho continued. "The Viridians want to establish a permanent liaison position, a human who would work directly with their royal family, helping bridge the cultural gap between our species. They've requested you specifically." "Me? You've proven you can work closely with Viridians without compromising your independence. You understand their influence and know how to manage it. And according to Princess Nayla, you're the only human who's ever treated her like a person instead of a goddess." Do-hyun didn't know what to say. A permanent position with the Viridian royal family meant leaving Earth, leaving everything he knew. But it also meant continuing to work with Princess Nayla, to help shape how humans and Viridians understood each other. "I'll do it," he heard himself say. Sunho smiled. "I thought you might. You have 2 weeks to prepare, then you'll be heading to the Viridian homeworld." The Galactic Council session was held in the station's largest chamber. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss humanity's place in the galaxy. Do-hyun attended as part of the human delegation, standing near the back and watching the proceedings. The Purity Front attack was condemned by every species present. Several representatives stood to speak in humanity's defense, sharing stories of human courage and restraint. Even Prince Kairos, surprisingly, spoke favorably about humans. He admitted he'd been wrong to call them primitives, and that his sister's near death had opened his eyes to human strength. When it came time to vote on the Viridian partnership proposal, the result was overwhelming. Humanity's integration timeline was accelerated by 30 years. They would be granted full membership in the Concordance within a decade instead of a century. After the session, there was a formal reception. Do-hyun found himself surrounded by diplomats from various species, all wanting to meet the human who'd saved the Viridian princess. He answered their questions politely but kept searching the crowd for one particular face. He found Princess Nayla on a balcony overlooking the stars. She was alone, which was rare for her. He approached quietly, not wanting to interrupt if she needed solitude. "You can join me," she said without turning around. "I know you're there." Do-hyun stepped onto the balcony. "How did you know?" "I'm learning to recognize your presence. It's different from others, more cautious even now." She turned to face him. I heard you accepted the liaison position. I did, are you sure? It's a big commitment. You'll be away from Earth for years. I'm sure. He moved to stand beside her at the railing. Someone needs to make sure you don't charm the entire galaxy into blind devotion. She laughed, and it was a real laugh, not the diplomatic one she used with others. Is that your job now? Keeping me humble? Someone has to do it. They stood together, watching ships come and go from the station. After a moment, Princess Nayla spoke quietly. Thank you. For what? For everything. For protecting me, yes, but also for challenging me. For refusing to make things easy. For showing me what real respect looks like, she paused. For choosing to be my friend instead of my devotee. You're welcome. Do-hyun hesitated, then added, and thank you for being patient with me. For understanding why I had to maintain distance. For not taking it personally. I did take it personally at first, she admitted, but I'm glad you held firm. If you'd given in, if you'd let yourself become devoted without choice, we wouldn't have this. She gestured between them. Whatever this is. Friendship? Something like that. Still being defined. She smiled. Are you ready for the Viridian homeworld? It's going to be intense. More Viridians in one place than you've ever experienced. The pressure on your mind will be constant. I know. Mina gave me a briefing. Meditation techniques, mental exercises, regular breaks away from Viridian presence. I'll manage. I know you will. That's why I requested you specifically. She turned to face him fully. I need someone who will tell me the truth even when my own people won't. Someone who sees me clearly without the filter of influence. Can you keep doing that? I can try. That's all I ask. A message came through on both their communicators. The human delegation was preparing to return to Earth for a 2-week break before Do-hyun's new assignment began. Time to say goodbye, at least temporarily. I'll see you in 2 weeks, Princess Nayla said. 2 weeks, Do-hyun agreed. He turned to leave, but she caught his arm. Do-hyun, one more thing. Yes? You said earlier that you couldn't tell if your feelings were real or just biology. I've been thinking about that, and I've decided it doesn't matter. What do you mean? I mean that whether your friendship with me started from biology or choice, what it becomes is entirely up to you. Every day you'll choose whether to maintain that friendship or walk away. And knowing you, you'll only stay if it's genuine. So whatever this is between us, I trust that it's real, because you wouldn't settle for anything less. Do-hyun thought about that. She was right. He might be drawn to her because of biology, but his choices were his own, and he chose to be here, chose to accept this position, chose to keep working with her, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. See you in 2 weeks, he said again, and this time he meant it as a promise. The 2 weeks passed quickly. Do-hyun returned to Earth, spending time with his family and friends. He told them about his new assignment, about the summit, about everything that had happened. His mother worried about him being so far away. His father was proud. His younger sister just thought it sounded exciting. You're really going to live with aliens? She asked over dinner. I'm going to work with them, not live with them. There's a difference. But you'll be on their planet, right? That's basically living with them. She had a point. Do-hyun would be immersed in Viridian culture, surrounded by their influence every day. It would be the hardest test of his mental discipline yet, but he was ready for it. Captain Ji-yeon, his former commanding officer, met with him before he left. I heard what you did on Harmony 7, she said. Taking down 5 armed hostiles while protecting a civilian. That's impressive work. Just doing what needed to be done. That's what good soldiers say. She studied him carefully. But this new assignment isn't a military operation, Do-hyun. It's diplomacy. You'll need to be more than just a soldier. You'll need to be a bridge, I know. Do you? Because from what I've read, you've spent most of your time with Princess Nayla trying to maintain distance. But this job will require connection, real connection, not just professional courtesy. I can do that, I hope so, because humanity is counting on you to get this right. She softened slightly. But I think you will. You've already proven you can see past the influence to the person underneath. That's a rare skill. The day finally came to depart for the Viridian homeworld. A diplomatic ship arrived to collect Do-hyun, along with a small support team of human advisors and technicians.